Hey friends, it's Julie from Plan to Create, and I'm here today to do a little bit of a January review. My hope is that I would flip through the pages here. I would talk a little bit about things that I liked or didn't like this month, things I learned, basically a lessons learned type video, as well as giving you a glimpse of how the month actually turned out compared to how I planned for it to. So I wanted to start off on this page. This has been like the epitome of what I want to achieve in my planner. I really do like all the color pops. I like the mixes of colors. This was just a fun page to put together, and it's also a really fun spot for me to call home for the month. So we'll see how it goes. I know that in the previous video I shared more of a color scheme that I wanted to work with for January, and obviously this does not fit into it, but I think you'll see the rest of the month falls into place. So I wanted to just start here. Wanted to verbalize that I intended to create every day on my daily pages. I really had hoped to stamp or gratitude journal, something. I also have a goal of a new video up every Friday. I wanted there to be some type of a family fun activity for our family. I feel like that's important. I think life can get super busy and we just can let days go, and we only have our kids at home every now and then. One of them is away at college, and then it's my son's senior year. So I'm feeling the major push for just like as many family moments as we can possibly have. So long story short, clothes, exercise rings every day is another goal, and a day planned, something during the day that my husband and I can do together as our schedule allows. So I'm not gonna go through and tell you every how I did on all of those. I think you'll maybe get a glimpse as we go through the month to see kind of how that all panned out. But I do enjoy having a place to kind of stop and think about your month to plan ahead. And although I didn't reference this as much as I probably could have, I do think it's important to get those thoughts down and to have a place to do so in your planner. So going forward, I kind of had to mix this up. I had this planned and it had a different month on it, so I actually, you can kind of poke through there. When that happens and I want to do something else, actually I have 3 here, that's pretty bad. But I just glue those together. I use some sticky tape. I'll grab it real quick to show you guys. Something like this, kind of a scrapbook adhesive, easy runner, and this is permanent. I should have done it a little bit closer to the pages. You just roll it like that, push it together, and now that won't come apart as well, see? So just mentioning that. That's just like, you know, hey, I got away from myself. My planner didn't work out quite the way I wanted, and I will definitely just glue some pages together sometimes versus trying to recreate a whole wheel. Okay, so I think I had mentioned in January that I might redo this page because I wasn't wild about the way it was coming together. But the truth is that honestly, the beginning of the month when I put this page together, that's the highly referenced time for me. That's when I start to really see like where the weeks fall out, where I am. I don't come back and reference this a ton, so it honestly didn't bother me that much this month. I did use the side column to break up. I was really trying to do some block work where like this week I'm designing inserts, this week, that's releasing inserts. This week I would be designing for the next month releases that I want to do. Then I was planning to film a ton of videos this week, just, you know, kind of batch film, and then spend the next week editing. And then I think the following week would basically be back to release, so it's kind of a 4-week schedule. That hasn't worked out very well for me, to be honest. I do a little bit of each of those tasks almost every week, so I'm still fine-tuning that, and I am interested in the concept of batch working, but I will say I need to revisit that because I would definitely be like this week going, I'm still designing inserts, or I'm still tweaking those, and so then it was like all this pressure of like last week's work and this week's work, and I think I need to find a way for myself to just be like, no, that's not working. So the real thing, like I'm not necessarily tied into the concept of monthly releases. Like I know a lot of shops do that on the regular, and I think it's awesome, and it probably is really nice for customers to know what to expect. I'm not super like strict on that schedule. I don't want to be tied in, and I don't want people to feel like they're having to buy something every month. But I also have a lot of inserts that I have designed over the years, whether they be for custom orders or things that I've taken and then I've tweaked a little bit. And I feel like I owe it to myself to bother to get those listed into my shop. The only issue with that is that I put a lot of workload on myself for that. I like to show the picture or the listing photo with them in use versus just like a PDF of the plain file or a JPEG of the plain file. So I kind of have that criteria because I think it's so much more interesting to see something and go, oh, like I could use my supplies like that and I could use those pages. So that's the goal I have for myself, and that's why things are not just automatically popping up on listings. Also, I like to, you know, make sure that it's kind of tedious work for me, like making sure the listings have the right descriptions. I do a lot of cutting and pasting, and then eventually I'll be like, oh no, I totally am describing a different insert that I cut and pasted. So long story short, work in progress. You may be familiar, I had pulled out, if you watched my January setup video, I had a washi tape from Freckled Fawn that I wanted to use this month. I'd actually gotten it last year and had not used it, and so this is like where I sit with it right now. I still have a few of the greens left, which makes sense. That's not my favorite color. These turned out to be really fun, and you'll see them sprinkled throughout my pages, but I just kind of wanted to give a status report that yay, I did go through quite a bit, and that's awesome because these otherwise would have just been sitting around waiting and waiting. So I won't go into too much detail here. You can see I just did a lot of mildliner stuff with just a couple of stickers. And then, like I said, I haven't gone back, and like if an event came up, I haven't added it. It was more like I did it at the beginning of the month, and then from that point, I just go more into my weeks. So that's kind of where that sits. I do love having a grid at the front and, well, at the back of my month for sure. Sometimes at the front, I've done that before. But this is just a really nice landing page. Like I think of something for January that I want to do, or here I was just like, hey, what worked well and what maybe didn't work well. So I kind of added those notes that I could reference here for this video. And I'll hopefully add those. I haven't even really glanced at them, honestly, since I wrote them. Okay. So then I also wanted to mention that I love to start my weeks. Like when you print your weeks, you can print them back to front to back to front to back to front to back, whatever way you want to say that. However, I don't want to have like the Thursday through Sunday page right here when there's not actually a week. So I am very purposeful about printing one of these, just the front side, so I don't have anything on the back. And then I love to add a grid like this just as a landing page. Also another spot to write January specific things. And so I actually just recently put these grid pages up on my website. I'll link them below. I just listed them for free because I feel like I don't want to incorporate that into the files because I don't want to mess up your guys' printing process and stuff, but I want to have them available for you in case you wanted to use them. And so like I said, I'll link it below. I did that for A5 and for personal size, both of them. So those are available. And you can see I just kind of tried to take some, this is like part of the process. Like I have all these things I want to list or showcase in my shop. Here I've updated the file, I've test printed it, I've decorated it, I've taken a photo, I've actually done the listing. Hopefully I'm including it into a video because that's another thing I feel like would be a nice resource for people as they're looking at my inserts in my shop. And then like social media, have I shared that at all to kind of get the word out? Those are what I'm kind of keeping track of there. So this first week, gosh, this feels like forever ago, you guys. I remember I had planned out these days, and then my husband was like, we need to take a trip because we have Marriott points that we need to burn, and we were either going to stay like downtown Boise, which is just local, at a Marriott overnight, and I was like, honestly, let's go to Salt Lake. And so we scratched my plans out and just covered it with all that washi. I love the way that kind of turned out, just a big conglomeration there. It was a complete mistake, but a creative mistake. And then, or a creative fix to a mistake. And then the rest of this week, I was just kind of introducing myself to the concept of the hourly layouts. I feel like the narrower version here in the A5 lends itself really nicely towards mildliners and like smaller icon stickers. Is that all? I literally used 2 stickers there. That's crazy. These I just drew boxes around with my mildliners. And I just kept things really simple. As much as I would love to get like a little bit more elaborate on my pages, as I'm working on my other stuff, like it's just kind of a hard juggle for me right now to make sure I'm getting all the nitty-gritty stuff done and then the fun decor. So it's definitely something I'm working on and hoping to kind of balance out better over the months. But yeah, that's kind of how the first week popped out. I don't think that there's anything else really to say about that. So I do like to include my week number, and I did there. And then January, that was kind of fun. I did like 3 different stamps grouped together, and that turned out really nice. I don't know if you guys can see, but it has the Circle January stamp from that document winter set that I have showed before, and that's kind of just fun. I did use the washi strips as, not full washi. I just used small ones, and that's kind of a fun way to incorporate some color too. Next week, Again, I was still in that narrower column on this side, so, and I did a plan with me featuring this, which honestly, like, I almost didn't share it because it's just like, bleh. To me, it doesn't seem like anything special, and I really, in my mind, was like, okay, this way is like super mildliner friendly and like more basic, and then this side you can really, like, it's wider, so you can go all out with like stickers and Erin Condren style or Happy Planner stickers. And then honestly, I just get into a rut with my basic mildliner Scrabble, and I forget to use the stickers. What's happening to me? So there you go. I did share the video, I just put it up, and it was a little bit late after the fact, but I don't mind that because I don't think it matters for you guys to be up to date on my current events. But anyway, you can see I kept really in theme again with the color scheme. I did play around a little bit with pairing 2 different stamps there from the same set, from that monthly series set. And if there's like anything that you're like, I'm referring back to as a supply and you're like, what is she talking about? It's probably just because I mentioned it in that January setup video. So go ahead and watch that. I'll try to link that below as well for you. But I found that I just we eat dinner around 5:30. So this whole like scheduling thing almost threw me off. I feel like my brain really wanted to fill like every minute. So you can see here, it's like, okay, we went to Albertsons, we changed the furnace filter, the vacuum bag, which he actually did do. So I could honestly come back and check. Funny, see, I'm not so good about the check marks. And I felt like I wanted to like account for every hour because I'm not used to using these per se. And so when I started to use them, I think I was struggling with that. Then as the weeks went on, I slowly started to be like, okay, no, forget it. Like, I think this next week, I just decided I am not going to try to fill up every hour. I'm going to hit my highlights. I'm going to go ahead and come back and, well, I guess I say that, and then here they are, like little things written down. But I think Lindsay Scribbles inspired me. She like does basically her events, and then she just fills in to-do lists, you know, probably on the day that she's working on those as best she can. And so this one just became, I kind of became like at peace with the fact that I wasn't really going to decorate. I was just going to use this as a real like overview for my week. And then I was going to still try to do any like decor fun stuff much more so on my daily pages, which I'll show you in a minute. And I think that coming to terms with that really helped me. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about hourly pages versus plain. I think that both are equally valuable, and it just kind of depends on what you want your focus to be. If you really want to have an account for your time, obviously these are awesome. If you just look at your day in like a bigger picture, you know, I think that these can still work. And the funny thing is that I was using the Inkwell Press planner a lot this summer, and it did not have hourlies, but in my mind I was literally writing down hours along the side to just kind of gauge, because it does help you. It's like, where do I want to add something specific, you know? It's nice to have that number next to it so you're giving yourself time and space to plan your events out and not get them all clustered and crowded. So that's kind of my thought on hourlies. I'm not like smitten with them, but I'm also open to the concept. So I think that halvesies right now probably are one of my, like, they probably work better with the way I plan, because I do like to scribble stuff, and it was a little bit harder for me to come back and scribble up on these. But yeah, as far as supplies, hardly any. These are from the planner spot, and this is just another little bit of the washi. So this, again, super sparse, and probably reflects just that my creative energy was being spent elsewhere. This is the current week that I'm in right now, so I have my tab set there. And oh my goodness, I've like discovered the Coffee Monster Co, and I think they're so cute. So I love having it be like super clean and nice, and then like bing bong, you know, like it's not too much distraction. I feel like I should have probably added another one over here too to help balance, but I'm almost starting to hoard them because I'm stressed out. Like, I don't want to run out. So weird. But yeah, I really like how this worked out. I have not come back and done my check marks on these, and I know, so I had to do like a cleansing drink. I kind of mentioned I'm doing a 30-day cleanse with my husband this month. It's been going really well, but I had to drink like 32 ounces in the morning of a cleanse and then follow that with 32 ounces of water. And I know for sure I have actually today done my cleanse, and I'm through 1.5 of these. I'm gonna go ahead and give myself, I'm almost done with it. So doing well. This one I'm gonna say at least I drank that much. Anyways, so something that I tried new here that I have not yet used before, and I'll let you know what I thought. I'm always looking for kind of a fun way to house my workouts, and I've done various little things before in the past, but this week I thought, oh, I'll just try this like half hexagon and see how that works. And I don't even know, can you guys hardly even see it? It was a little bit like This one may have shown up a little better. When you're using a light ink and a light pattern, it just doesn't really give the impact per se. So I could have tried the stripes. That might have worked out a little bit better. But the concept is good. I just don't know if the dots pulled it off the way that I wanted. When you see strips of washi across like that, that means that someone's out of town or something's happening, there's an event, and I don't usually even write it on there. I just kind of know in my mind, like, oh, my husband was out of town and my son was even out of town, so I kind of overlapped those to mark that off. Not everything has to be labeled for me. I did use the washi vertically, which is a new wrinkle this week, and I had enough to get all of my office hours kind of mapped out, and I did like the way that looked. I love using the same materials to do the same things throughout the week. So I hope that makes sense. Like all of my exercise the same, all of my office hours the same. I think that that helps me decipher the information more easily. I'm still kind of playing back and forth with color codes, and like normally anything YouTube would be that orange, like vermillion color coral, but this week, because I'm using a scheme, then you'll see that I subbed it out. It's me doing it, I'm green. So I mean, there's really no like hard fast rules for me. I make things up as I go, but I just kind of wanted to explain that that's why, you know, things are sometimes inconsistent. I would say that with my planner, and I'm okay with that. I use that fresh start stamp. I think it's nice to just, I keep revisiting this because I always use the January, but I haven't always brought out the little sayings and stamps. And so I just kind of keep trying to squeeze those in wherever I can because I think that they're kind of fun. Sorry, that was really hard to see on that background. But that's what that little fresh start is there. And I think that that covers it. My son had some things that kept coming to my mind that I know he needed to get done, so I just went ahead and kind of created his own little list. It's totally random. They didn't all happen on Tuesday, but at least it kind of reminds me that those things need to get done. In fact, I need to text him and see if he has ordered his cap and gown because we're running out of time on that and it's important. So that's that week, basically. Very simple. Sorry, my dog is kind of traipsing back and forth. If you hear little paw prints, that's Murphy. And then next week I have already prepped. I'm going to be out of town for a portion of the week, so I really need to make sure, like if I'm going to get a video up, which should be this video, then I need to kind of make sure that I have things going in order to get that done. I will have some office hours. Again, I just use the same material. I only get 2 days of those next week, so I will share. I just took my mildliner up and down. I used my little ruler as a guide and just did straight marks. The only thing about that is that I ever so slightly overlapped onto the sticker above, so you can see like an ever so slight little line there. I'm fine with it, it's okay, but in hindsight I might have like moved my ruler over just a smidget to ensure that that didn't happen. And then of course my little Coffee Monster Co stickers. I went ahead and threw pink in there, and I explained that. There's 1 and 2, like we're heading into February. I did those in the blush pink ink. So I just thought, oh, for heaven's sakes, just throw it somewhere else too. And this week I kind of was like reaching the point where I didn't want to only be limited to a few colors. Like that's another lesson learned from January. Well, I'll explain it better for February, but I kind of have a different concept that I'm gonna share in my next video. Anyways, so yeah, I went ahead and used these little Instagram posts. I am trying to be more mindful, and I actually have several pictures in the queue that I'm excited to share, so I just can kind of decide which ones are happening which days and make sure that those are happening. And so if you're not following me over there, please do, but a good chance that you probably are because there's more of you over there than there are here on YouTube so far. So anyways, yeah, I pulled a lot of these little Avery Label stickers because I just felt like, and it was a good reason, like this one I had 8:15 bar, and then I realized, no, Julie, you're scheduled for the 9:30 class. So I pulled off the 8:15, stuck on a new sticker, and that's just, I was kind of going off memory as I planned that, and then when I actually consulted my iCal, I realized I was wrong. Focus areas for cleaning, it's going to be a little tricky to fill those in this week since we're not home, and then I have a few appointments on a day that we normally do that. So I just went ahead and put them here on Monday. We do some kind of refresh cleaning once my son heads off to school on Monday mornings. So I at least put the areas there that I can focus on. I'm not sure that we'll get through all of the detailed cleaning work that I would love to, but I just kind of decided, you know, gathering all trash, getting the trash out, and then like meal planning for next week. Those are just things that I need to start to incorporate on those days, just in general. Make sure that I'm noting that as a reminder for myself. And so I did that just in gray because it's a job that anyone and everyone can help on. And I think that covers it. Meal planning, again, it's gonna be a little interesting because we'll be on the road and we're supposed to be eating no gluten, no dairy, no soy. Like, it's pretty crazy, but it's been going pretty well. So we'll just make it work, and we're very close to the end of our cleanse, but I think we'll continue on a lot of the habits because they're just really good and they feel good for us. So side note entirely. Okay, so that wraps that up. Then what I normally would have is just this today bookmark here to take me to the current day. And you guys, I'm so sad. Like, I really, really, really thought that I would have a month's worth of dailies to share with you. I really had hoped for that, and hopefully I'll get there. But really, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. I thought about like whipping a few up just to make it look better, but then I was like, nope, this is just the real deal. This is where we're at. And so these did fill for these days exactly what I envisioned for them. I love the idea that I have a place to just play around with some stamps and stamp design. But yeah, I mean, I feel like these were really a great idea. I'm just not in the practice of using them. So I would like to get better about that. I did take a minute and just kind of write out some journaling there. I definitely tried to track down exactly what I needed to do during my office hours, and I much prefer the idea of doing that here than trying to write it all out here. You can see here, I tried to kind of cover some of the things that I needed to do, but I think that this is such a better place for that because I can get really messy with that. And the alternative, so yesterday, this was it. This is what I did, my little Etsy notes, or yeah, listing notes. So it would be nice to have it on here because then I could kind of keep a record of what I've actually been doing during my office hours. I subscribe to a couple of stamp subscriptions. I just recently picked up Studio Calico, and then I think I do just the stamp for citrus twists, and so it's just fun to kind of play around with those when they arrive. And I actually ended up having to tuck them away, and that might be part of my problem because I was so distracted by that I was like, Julie, you need to focus on getting your YouTube video done and your listings up. So I had to sacrifice a little bit on the play time. But this was one of my favorites, just playing around. This is a stamp that I've had forever from the stamp market. So it's called Detailed Diamonds. And I had often thought like that would be really pretty, like across the top border or just, you know, somewhere in my planner. And so I just finally I basically copied their layout because it just worked and I thought it looked nice there. So I just kind of used the same pattern predominantly. I might have switched it up a little bit. And just played with it in my inks, and I really, really liked that, and I just took like today's wins and just kind of had some brainstorming, so I was combining a little bit of gratitude and some stamping playtime. This is like what I want to do on these pages, so I'm hoping to see more of that, and the beauty of it is that it's not over. I have a whole year to keep instilling this practice, and so I'm going to carry these over to February, and they'll be in the back in the Today section just like they were this month, and hopefully I will get a little bit more use out of them because I really like the idea and really like working on them and working with them. So that's it. The only other thing back here is like my content calendar, and that is just my way of keeping track of what I'm sharing, when I'm sharing, how often I'm sharing. Kind of, again, I made this, I didn't have this initially, so I had it all written up here, but I found myself not coming back to reference this, so I basically created my own little thing that I would not have to write it all out each time. I could just have it there, and that's like all the work that needed to get done for each of those listings. So keeping track of that kind of stuff. I have some private information there I just covered with this cute vellum paper from the planner spot. And I think that really covers it well. The only other couple of changes that I did in my overall setup this month were that I came through and like did some birth dates here. I have my son's graduation, and so I just actually did stick these stickers directly onto the vellum. I think that they look really pretty, and it's just kind of fun to see the sprinkling of color on there. Again, I just love to see my mildliner colors sprinkled all around my planner, and so that's been kind of fun. Oh, I did add also I created this dashboard here, and it was part of a fundraiser from scrapbook.com. All the proceeds of this die cut go to a charity in Australia to help with the terrible fires that have been happening there. So I did make that. I just laminated the die cut and then just made it long enough that it would stick out on this end and this. And then I just took a strip of washi so that I could find that yellow tab. Since I didn't have that color anywhere, it would be easy to find. And I just created a brain dump spot like for my Etsy shop and videos, anything that like is business related. I have so many ideas that come to my brain and so many things I could work on, and I just don't always have a landing spot. Like I said, I'm often writing it down on a little sticky note, which I should just take and add here. But I just thought it would be really nice to have a place in my planner, and I used it several times this week, which felt really good. So that's kind of a new addition, and then I even got some things done that I was able to scratch off, so that's good. And, oh, I think I shared this on Instagram too, that I did come through. I came through with my little like Le Pen pen, and I just wrote in the week numbers here because I feel like that's important for me as I'm planning my weeks. I'm often wondering, and it's just quicker to find it here than it is to like search it up on my iCal. So those are just like the things that kind of changed up in January here in my planner. And I am really excited to head into February. I'm excited to kind of share what my plans are for that, and I'll save that for my February setup video. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you had a fun month and that you got to test out something new in your planner. I wanted to mention too, I feel like the beauty of a ring-bound planner is the ability to switch from month to month or from week to week. Like if something isn't working, it's okay to switch it out if you just like an insert style isn't working for you. The only other thing I would say is that like I'm glad I hung in for the whole month of January in my hourlies, because I feel like the very first week or two particularly I was struggling a little bit these weeks and not feeling it entirely. But once I kind of got into a groove, then I feel like I found my way, and I'm glad that I stuck with it. So I am going to be shifting it up for next month, not because I'm unhappy in these, but just because I like to give ideas for you guys. Some of you use hourlies and that works, and so you have this like inspiration, I guess, and then some of you don't. And so I still want to provide that for others as well. So after I've already yabbered on for 20 several minutes, I realized I didn't even really cover some of the things that I wanted to say, what worked well exactly and what did not work. I've touched on them, but not specifically said them. So something that worked well for me on these hourly pages was seeing where I had holes in my day. Like in the beginning of the week, I just go through and I plug in the main things that I either need to get done or that I know like an event I have. And it's really nice because if you have, say this is the only section of where you add those events, for me, I can't really see where I have holes. It starts to look clustery, but here on a whole hourly page, I can see like, oh, the event isn't until 4. Look at all this space I have in my day, for example. So that is something that I found really helpful about hourlies. That was just, it helps my brain see the whole week and see where I have space to either do little things around the house or to take a chunk of time and do a larger project. So that's what worked well for me for sure. There's other things that worked well, but that was one that really stood out to me. Things that were like on the not so much category, the things that didn't work as well. One of the things I didn't like was using the lighter inks like this for dating my pages. And that's just kind of a lesson learned, especially for me as I'm sharing those, like for taking photos and either adding them to my Etsy shop or sharing them online in other ways. It just doesn't really stand out, and it doesn't give me like kind of a pop in a clear direction on those. It's a little thing, but it did kind of end up bugging me. So going into February, I know that I'll be using a little bit bolder inks as I date my pages, particularly the month. I don't mind the dates being a little bit softer here, but I do think I like to use some of my bolder colors or just like a bolder stamp. So you can see that January stands out a lot differently than that. So keeping that in mind, just another tier of things to think about as you're adding dates or things into your planner. One other thing that really bothered me, and I think I did end up finally solidifying, but I was flipping back and forth between different pens, particularly this week, and you guys might not pick up on it as well because the lighting and just the distance that you are from them, but I was really using a lot of my Pilot Friction, and then I was mixing in my Pilot Calico, and then after my fiasco with smearing my Pilot Calico ink on video, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna just stick to this Uni Jetstream refill here in my pen gems. I'm gonna see if I can track down some of that Uni Jetstream, just like pens like that aren't refills. For now, this is working really well though, because I do have some nice pen bodies to refill. I have both this one and this one that I think are really pretty. So I enjoy those. And I'm just starting to just push myself a little bit to move past the pilot friction and not feel like I have to have so much flexibility. If I write something down and indeed it doesn't happen or it needs to get switched, I can always overlay that with a sticker or white it out. I mean, there are options, and I need to kind of move past that personally because I think I wanted so much flexibility, as I kind of alluded to in my last Plan With Me video, that it's almost like a hindrance for me. Like, it doesn't lock me into something because I'm constantly trying to keep things so flexible. So long story short, not only do I dislike the way it looks when I see different inks, but also I feel like when I know that this is, when I write in this particular ink, I know it's safe to come back with a mildliner. It's not going to smear. I don't have to think about that, what I've written in, etc., etc. So that's just a little simple note of something that I learned about myself this month. And then the last thing, and this is kind of more than like planner related, it's a little bit about life too, but as I shared here in my monthly page, sorry, I actually split that out because I was referencing my notes, but I'm done. On my monthly page, you can see that I kind of tried to batch work, and so I was trying to take this week to do all my design work, this week to do all of my filming, this week to do like editing and photo taking, yada yada. That didn't work for me, to be honest, and I don't really know why, and if I need to tweak it in order to help it work, or if I need to just stop doing that and like maybe take Mondays and batch work that way. So Mondays I'm filming, Wednesdays I'm editing, Friday I'm publishing or designing. I need to kind of still think through that because I really am wanting to find a method that will indeed work for me, and this one just didn't. So that was kind of a big overall lessons learned, and I'm still tweaking that out and still trying to figure out what will indeed work. I just added this little thing today. I had these little cards that I purchased from Sequins and Paper, and she does a whole year of these dated, and I just wanted to show you guys. I took and I highlighted out all of the days that I actually did close my exercise rings. That's been a goal of mine to try to hit that every day. Obviously I didn't hit every day this month, but in comparison, last January I did 21 days total based on my records, and so far I've already hit 21. And I still have a couple days left in the month, so hopefully I can beat last year's goal. But I just came through and stamped out 2020 with the big date stamp from scrapbook.com. I clipped this on. This is a vellum sheet from Cloth and Paper, and then I went ahead and just stuck it on there, and I can see this concept kind of moving from month to month, the vellum and the clip with the current date, so that it's always there ready for me to track. I do enjoy looking at that, and it would be fun to see throughout the whole year how many of those days I actually get solid. So I hope that that kind of covers the entire month. I hope I was helpful in some way, and I know that it's not like the most beautiful month that I've ever had, so thanks for hanging in there with me, particularly not this one, but it's part of where I'm at, and me juggling the process of doing the design work that I share for my shop, and then just like me just being able to kind of get things done. Oh, and I did do one more daily page. How funny, I opened right to it. But I did manage one more, and that was it's a fun exercise for me to pull things out and just play, and then to have a record of what I was actually up to that day. Going forward, a goal of mine might be to just do these on the days that I have office hours, and that would be realistic because I'm in here anyway. I can kind of spend a few minutes gathering my thoughts for where I want to go the day, and then maybe a little bit of time reflecting on where I actually did go. Thanks so much for joining me, and just looking forward to February, and I hope that you will join me as we walk through the next month too. All right, guys, thanks.